Hi, everybody. I'm Vicky Stark. I'm the author of Runaway Husbands, and I want to welcome you to tonight's Facebook Live Q&A. We have three questions on three sort of different topics. And the first question is from Katie. And this is a question that maybe everyone listening has asked themselves or would like to ask me, because it's really the basic question of what you're going through. And the question is, how do you stop loving them? And I know for us, that's a mystery. Like, how do you turn off that faucet of loving somebody? You've observed how your ex-husband seems to have completely turned off the faucet for you. And although he may have been very loving towards you early on in your relationship or for decades in your relationship, at some point he was able to stop loving you. But even though you've gone through everything you've gone through, you find that you can't find that switch that will help you stop loving him. But I think you have to ask yourself a very simple question, and that is, who is it exactly that you're loving? Is it this person who you deal with, who maybe you've been through a court battle with, who you've maybe, have so many unpleasant experiences with, who may be blocking you in things that you want to do with your kids, who has, perhaps tried to make your life harder by not providing financial support and all of that. This person who looks at you with dead eyes and no love in his eyes. Is that who you're having trouble stopping loving? Because I think that the answer to that question is the person that you're having trouble stopping loving is somebody who no longer exists. And that's the husband that you had when he looked at you with love in his eyes, and when he had tenderness towards you, and he cared about what happened to you, and he was part of your life. So Katie's question, how do you stop loving them? I think the answer is to recognize that the man that you think you're loving has, he's disappeared in a puff of smoke. That man doesn't exist anymore. And so what you're actually doing is just being nostalgic about a time that's gone past in your life, a time gone by. But the actual man who actually lives and somewhere, walks the earth somewhere, is not the person that you're loving, because the qualities of that person is not somebody that you would want to love, is not somebody that you would want to have in your life. So I think it makes it easier to stop feeling that love for him if you recognize that that man no longer exists. And so it's sort of like a waste of love. Maybe you want to direct your love to those people or things or animals or plants in your life that value it and appreciate it. So the next question comes from Carol, and she says, triggers are a biggie for me. Even now, I still get triggered. I don't know how long it's been since her husband left, but I still get triggered and also have this underlying sadness that he chose her over me, so she must be better. And I'm not sure how to deal with that niggling one. So what I want to focus in on in Carol's question is that line where she says that he chose her, the other woman, over me, so she must be better. And that may be a belief of yours, Carol, but that is not a fact. She may be different. She may be new. She may be mysterious because it was an affair. She may be a whole bunch of things. But you don't get to let him make you feel that this woman that he got involved with is better than you. And that is so important for you to fight that thought. So often women tell me that when their husbands leave, it really takes a chunk out of their self-esteem. And of course, you're not the 24-year-old that, he married 20, 30 years ago. You're not. You're maybe you're older, you're more middle-aged, you've had some children, or, life has given you challenges. But along the way, you've also grown and developed and accomplished things. And the most important thing for you is for you to love yourself. And don't let yourself think that he chose this other woman because she's better than you. He chose this other woman because she's new, which is something that you can never be, and because she's different. So it makes him feel a boost. It's a boost to his ego. So triggers come and go, and hopefully over time you'll stop being triggered. Maybe always when you hear that song or when you pass that restaurant you used to go to all the time, it'll give you that nostalgic feeling. But you want to take back your life, so that you don't give him the power to determine who's better or who's worse or whatever. And most importantly, you've really got to start to love yourself just as you are. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be, you don't have to have a PhD, or you don't have to have, run some big company for you to feel as though you're an accomplished person. You're a loving person. You try to take care of the people who are close to you. Maybe you are able to give love to others. And it's so important for you to be kind and compassionate to yourself. The final question is from Sharon, and it's about her child. And she says, I'm concerned about our 12-year-old who is given expensive gifts from his dad in exchange for information his dad tries to use against me. He even texts and calls our son late at night, waking him up. I've turned off and even taken his phone, but he gets very upset. He says he needs to have it so he can talk to his dad. He's only seen his dad once since his dad left a year ago, and he's desperate for any kind of relationship. My therapist just says to give him time and to allow him to talk to his dad. But I know it's having an effect on him, and he doesn't understand that his dad is manipulating him. And I think she's referring to giving him all these great gifts in exchange for information. My son even brags to the other children that he's dad's favorite. It's heartbreaking, and I don't know what's the best thing to do. And I know for me, hearing this, I'm heartbroken, and I'm sure that those of you watching this video are heartbroken too. Because here's a lovely little 12-year-old boy who longs for his dad, who would like to be special to his dad, and will do anything to get his dad's attention and appreciation. And I chose this question because I wanted to talk to Sharon and to other parents who have children who are also suffering like this 12-year-old boy. And the different things that Sharon talks about in this question, that there are a lot of different elements to it. But at the core is a 12-year-old who maybe feels abandoned, who feels himself not good enough, who feels full of longing and loneliness. And this is a child who needs some help. And so I think that to expect that over time that this situation is just going to right itself and it'll be okay is unrealistic. I think that if it's possible, Sharon, for you to be able to arrange to speak to a family therapist or a child psychologist, particularly one that specializes in helping children through areas of divorce, that would be of a tremendous benefit for your son. Because there is that sense of loss and that sense of grieving that he feels. And he needs to be able to express it. And he needs to be able to work with a trained professional who can help him come to terms with it. The other side of this story is, no matter how bad your relationship might be with this boy's dad, that I think that it's always worse worth it to make the effort to speak to the dad and let him know, your son would really benefit from seeing you more frequently, without bad mouthing him or putting him down or anything. But just let him know that it's important, and that he's important in his son's life, and that he really needs to give a whole lot more attention to this boy, who would benefit tremendously from it. So, on that heartfelt note, I'll say good night. I hope you have a good week. I hope you stay well. Sending a big hug. And that's it for today.